Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm working on, here it is. Thank you. So good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the PD Coordinators webinar. Today is July 9th. Again, we thank you for joining us, and we'll go ahead and get started with our agenda. So today we're going to cover a little information about the 2020 Literacy Texas Conference and the symposium, monthly webinars, upcoming assessment training and remote testing resources. We're going to have some announcements from our Managing and Communication Director, PD Portal announcements. Then we'll transition to Teams PD update, and then we'll have our PD coordinator time. So I wanted to mention a little bit about our 2020 literacy symposiums. So on July 24th, that's a Friday, they'll be having the Gulf Coast Literacy Online Symposium, and you can register for that at literacytexas.org/symposiums. And that is in the chat as we speak. So we're also going to be having the Literacy Texas 2020 conference, and that's going to be virtual. And that'll be August 3rd through 5th. And that again is an online conference, and the registration link for that has been placed in the chat pod. So if you're interested, we just had a really great experience at the COAB conference. So I highly encourage you to attend these conferences. They're great events for learning and sharing. And we just want to remind you that the change agent is available. That we have a statewide license. I know we've mentioned this before, but we want to mention it again. So if you go to changeagent.nelrc.org and our username is TCAL with capital T, and our password is TCAL all lowercase. So that is also been placed in the chat box for you to snag and pass it to your instructors. So we'll go ahead and transition to Liz.
Hello and happy pre-Friday, everybody. That's the way I like to think of Thursday. So I just want to share a little bit about the Texas AEL Manager Mondays. This coming Monday, we will be featuring Kathy Dowdy from Austin Community College and Christina Robinson from Houston Community College. They're going to be featuring some best practices for your staff on how to build staff PD. This is just-in-time webinar since everyone is focusing on the type of professional development needed to gear up for the new year. So learn from them. Please register. We have plenty of room. Grab a snack and we'd love to have you. And then for next month, we're going to be featuring a topic on the next slide is we're going to be talking about how we can, thank you, the topic's on Maslow's Before They Can Bloom, and it's focusing on how we need to focus on establishing the learner needs before we can implement academic rigor. And so that is August 10th, and registration will be coming up soon. And then on our next slide, we have, of course, our upcoming dates of our Manager Mondays until December. But as always, if you have any suggestions, send me an email. I'd like to hear from you. I want to know what's on your mind, what topics would you like to address, and I would love to hear from you. So thank you so much, Olga.
Thank you, Liz. And next we'll hear from Krista.
Good afternoon, everyone. July 14th, next Tuesday, is our next Teacher Tuesday, and Mahalia Baldini, our interim AEL director, will be discussing intake and orientation at a distance. And that registration is available in the portal. And then there's for next month, for August 11th, we have retention in the time of remote instruction, also by Mahalia. So giving you a heads up for that one. Hope to see you next Tuesday.
Thank you so much, Krista. So I just want to share a little bit about Workforce Wednesday webinars. They're always going to be on a Wednesday, and they are monthly from 12:30 to 1:30 on that day. So we have some dates remaining in the year. July, they're here, July 22nd, August 19th, September 23rd, etc. They're all here on this slide. But if you have any ideas or recommendations for future Workforce Wednesdays, please contact me at olga.escamilla@tamu.edu, and that has been placed in the chat. Thank you for that. And a little bit about our July 22nd. It's our own Veronica Moore from TWC, our corrections specialist. She's going to be talking about our targeted plan, serving corrections and justice involved individuals, and how to get started. So join us on July 22nd, 12:30 to 1:30. I'm excited. We have a lot of great information, or Veronica has a lot of great information to share. So join us for that. And we have our August 19th topic of developing your superpower, emotional intelligence. We have our two, Jasmine and I forgot her name. I'm so sorry. Miss Hinojosa from the Gulf area workforce, and they're going to be talking about that emotional intelligence and how to teach, demonstrate ways to develop those skills in the classroom. So pass that along. Great information, because I think that is really important skill, or really important to have as a for our students. So I'm going to go ahead and transition on to Anne Marie.
Good afternoon, everybody. I hope everybody's staying nice and cool wherever you are, or trying to. My goodness, it is hot in Houston today. So I want to let you know about several Tech Intel webinars that are coming up, and recently on several of the biweekly calls with Anson, program and consortium partners wanted to see if we could have a webinar on the learning management system, learning management system, or LMS, Canvas. Not Canva, but Canvas. And so I'm excited to share with you that we are going to be featuring the free version of Canvas with Mario Ortiz. He is going to be back from Brownsville ISD. We switched up this the schedule a little bit from July, so we could honor the request that everybody wanted. And so the topic is "With a Blank Canvas, Learning Begins." Registration is in the portal, and it is July 24th. And again, always on a Friday, and always from 11:30 to 12:30. So here we go for next slide. And little biased about this presenter, because believe it or not, I have known Penny Pearson from OTAN for over 20 years. And so we are excited to have Penny back in August for Open Educational Resources Part 2. Penny was part of the Distance Learning and Technology Symposium that Dr. Hargrove did, and so many people attended, but everybody said we want more on OER. So guess what? Penny's going to be back, and it is a 90-minute webinar. It will be on August 21st from 11:30 to 1, and PD portal registration should be available soon. Okay, so so excited that Penny's coming back. And Penny will be back in September, and this is something that I'm excited to bring to you. And how many of you have dug into Microsoft Office to find out all the different accessibility tools there are? And let me see if everyone knows what I mean by accessibility tools. A little. So Ashley says a little. This has to do with using the microphone. There's new features depending on what version you have of you can close caption. There's a lot of cool things for PowerPoint that have come out in Word. And so Penny's going to be back in September, on September 11th, again, a 90-minute webinar, and she's going to talk about what's called the Accessibility Resource Center in Microsoft Office. And she's going to talk about all the different tools that you can use, and registration will be available soon. So looking forward to the next couple months. In October, we're going to switch back to twice a month. And so let's go to the next slide, because that leads into the next slide. And calling all teachers to anyone that has got a new tech tool that they would like to feature, please contact me. I know that Deb will put my email in the chat pod. I'm always looking for new teachers to feature on Tech and Tell. So planning for October and November right now. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Olga.
Thank you, Anne Marie, Liz, and Krista. Now, at this time, we're going to go ahead and take a moment. If you have any questions about the slides we just covered, any questions, if anything you want us to go back to for more information, please put that in the chat.
We haven't gotten any comments or questions yet. Denise Oran just said, I couldn't use it very well. I found Adobe to be a little easier as far as documents like flyers, talking about the accessibility stuff with Word. And then, of course, Mauro, who's always willing to help us out here, says he could use a little bit more help on it. I signed up for that one myself, actually, Mauro. So I'm looking forward to that session.
Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and continue if there are no questions at this time. But just know that you can share your questions. Wait, we do have a question. Can you please double check the username for the change agent? It didn't catch. Oh, you didn't catch. Okay.
It should be TCall and TCall.
It's in the chat, Lorraine, up at the top. But I could go back to that.
Lorraine, are you asking for the address to get to the change agent?
Okay, here. Oh, there was. All right, right here. So it's the T is capital on username. So it's capital T and then call, but then the password is all lowercase. Does that help? Okay, very good. Thank you for that question. So we always want to be sure that we're clear and that you are provided with your answers and you don't have any questions when you leave our meeting.
So Marie says about the call for technology, can it be revisiting something like live binders? Not many people actually know what that is. And we did live binders, probably one of the very first webinars we did for Tech and Tell with Debbie Purvines. I don't know if you all remember Debbie, and she has since retired, but that was a long time ago, and we can certainly revisit that for sure. Thank you, Marie.
Thank you. And Ashley says a long time ago. Okay.
That was the very first year that Glenda and I started Tech and Tell.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move on, and we're going to have Tracy join us. Tracy.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I've got a couple of announcements here. We're going to have host a virtual Best Plus 2.0 test administration training on July 29th and 30th in the afternoon. So it shouldn't interfere with the business meeting or anything. And by virtual, you know, of course it's going to be online, right? And the target, I've had several programs ask for this, and we're going to target programs that don't currently have a certified Best Plus trainer on staff. And so you might have a couple of staff who need to become test administrators. It's not about remote testing, as you can read on the screen, but once someone completes this training, then they could do the remote test training that we have in the PD portal for Best Plus. And so those could go hand in hand. You know, I'm not sure how many programs are hiring a lot of new teachers or new staff at this point with COVID. it may vary across the state. And so the thought here was that, if you're not hiring like you normally would and would hire someone to come in and train, your 15 new staff, but maybe you hired a couple people or you're redistributing roles in your program and you do need a couple of people trained, this would be for your program. The program PD specialists have helped me identify a few programs that are in this boat that don't have a certified Best Plus trainer, and I will be sending out an invitation probably tomorrow. But if you are one of those programs and want to self-identify as well, that's fine, and you can put that in the chat pod or you can email me and let me know, and I'll send an invitation with more specifics and have people let you know that you could send a couple of staff, and I will register people. So, and the only other thing to remember about this is people who would attend would need a trainer administrator guide, so the tag, and they would also need to download the Best Plus software on their computer. So think about that. If people would need to have those two things, and we will relay that information in the invitation, and then we will do a follow-up to make sure that people have these items. And Nelda, no, it's not a TOT. It's just a regular training so that someone who finishes the 2-day event would be able to do test administration. Good question. That's a good question, because we usually do TOT events, but this event would be really hard to do, we think, virtually. We maybe could. We've found we can do that, a lot of them virtually, but we're going to wait as long as we can. So if we could see if we could do it face-to-face sometime next year, maybe. A good question. Any other questions? Or I know we have a question slide in a minute. Okay, so let me know if you need an invitation. So the next one we are having, we will have a TABE, Texas Style TABE online training, TOT, and it's going to be August 7th and 8th. I'm not sure if we're going to do it all on one day on the 8th or do some the evening of the 7th and part on the 8th. I'm trying to firm up that right now, but we'll announce it very soon, probably early next week. We'll get this announced. And we did the pilot back, I guess in June, end of June, and it went really, really well. We learned a lot and we had some great participation, which gave us some good feedback. And so we're ready to move forward with the training of trainers, and we'll of course be doing this virtually as well. And so you as PD coordinators will be the ones to assign any staff that you might want to attend. You would assign them to the training of trainers when we get it ready and get it on the PD portal calendar. Yes.
There's a question about, is there a limit on teachers?
What I'll do is, it depends on how many programs might need this. I'm going to say 1 to 2 staff right now, but I'll keep a waiting list.
Okay.
If some programs, don't use slots, I'll be sure to follow up with programs. That's a really good question. I meant to mention that. So, yeah.
That's Nelda asking, so.
Yeah, I see that. So thanks, Nelda. And Nelda, who are you with? I'm sorry. Can you put that in the chat?
Brownsville.
Brownsville.
Oh, Brownsville. Okay, perfect. Okay. All right, next slide. So I'm really excited about this training. It's a webinar on Monday, a deeper dive into best practices for remote testing. So, we did all that blitz of remote testing webinars about Best Plus, TABE, 1112, and CASAS. And it just seemed like a blitz and a blur. And what I wanted to do with this webinar was have some of our people who helped with those webinars get into a deeper dive. I mean, what does this really look like? How do you develop your SOPs? How do you decide which staff that are certified test administrators, but some aren't really going to be able to do remote testing very well for whatever reason? And what does it really look like when you're doing one-to-one or one-to-many? and what are some lessons learned and challenges and things like that. And one thing is we're going to have Glenda Rose, Karen Cook, and Jean Friedman. Karen and Jean are with Austin Community College. And so we've got Glenda with a smaller program, and then we've got a large program. And they just have so much information to share about things they've learned along the way. You know, how do you train your staff that are certified test administrators? But you have to have a process. Everyone needs to, know the process. You have to practice a lot. You have to have a process in place to communicate with students. And so this will be a general training that would apply to any of the assessments, because for specifics, you'll want to look at the remote testing webinars that we did for the specific ones. But I'm excited about this one. And Deb says there are 125 folks signed up. We'll send out an announcement again tomorrow and on Monday morning. And we will record it for anyone who misses it, and we'll put it in the PD portal. But I'm excited. This is going to be a really good one. And we come with your questions, and because they're going to be ready. We're excited. So it's a two-hour webinar, and please join us. So that's all I have for now. Thank you.
So we do have a question already.
Okay.
And is there a limit for this webinar?
No, this one, 290 people, so we still have plenty of room. Good question, Nelda.
So at this time, we'll take any other questions that you might have about what was just covered. And we'll wait just a moment.
I also want to mention, everyone, now that we're talking about registrations, another one that has over 100 for next week is the Teacher Tuesday. There still are plenty of seats, about 166. But make sure that you sign up for the Teacher Tuesday. And we do also have plenty of seats in our Manager Monday. We have 61 folks registered for that one. So there are plenty of seats for that as well. We encourage you to sign up for as many as you can spend the time in. Good stuff, delivery by all.
Okay, we have a couple more. Is there a time limit for this webinar? Sorry, I'm just trying. Okay. No, I take that back. Denise Arand. I think really reviewing best practices for remote testing is a great idea. We're looking to go back through that again now that we have done it and to do better. Thank you, Denise. And we're going to talk about that in just one moment. And then
Marie's asking
Okay.
overall testing, including ESL.
Well, Marie, it's about any of the remote testing for CASAS, Best Plus, TABE 1112, TABE Class E, and it really goes into, it doesn't go to the specifics of those tests because we've done webinars about those, and then we would also refer you to the publisher's website for their written guidance on remote testing. But it's just kind of more about the process. How do you, as a program, decide who's going to be involved? How does this look? How do you develop? How do you experiment? How do you decide which staff have the technology and the skills, the technology skills to do testing? How do you train your staff? You know, everyone's got to be on the same page. How do you communicate that when everyone is in multiple locations? So I hope that answers your question. So it's going to be a general overview of all of those processes and things. And I'll talk about different platforms, kind of go over an overview of platforms, and we have a good visual about what the different platforms do, like Zoom, WebEx, different things like that. So, okay, good, Marie, thanks. Okay, I know.
Go ahead and continue, Tracy,
Yeah.
to your next slide.
Okay, so we had a bunch of remote testing resource slides in here the last time. I left 3 in because I just wanted to remind everyone as we start the new year that on the TCAL website, you can refer to that remote testing guidance that's on the website. It hasn't been updated in a bit because everything's kind of settled down. and all of the publishers have come out with their guidance. But just don't forget, if you have new staff coming on, or if you rearrange staff duties and someone needs to look at this written guidance, that's a good place to start. And okay, you can go to the next slide. And again, don't forget that we encourage everyone to join the assessment tests for Texas Community of Practice, where we post, or I try to post relevant documents and updates about remote testing from the publishers, or I have had a couple programs put in some standard operating procedures that they've developed. You know, it's good to share information. If you have something, and what I'm finding with these trainers that are about to do this training on Monday, the deeper dive, is that nothing is static. It's very fluid, and their processes are very fluid. So if you came up with a great idea and you want to share in this community of practice, please do, because that way the field can benefit from your expertise and wealth of knowledge, and just get an idea. Maybe sometimes seeing other programs and what they're doing, their ideas, helps us to get our brain juices flowing and think of a way to solve a problem. So just wanted to remind everybody about that. And all the HSC tests have gone remote, GED Online and the HiSET. So we just encourage you to let your staff know, so that when your program gets calls from students, that you can direct students in this direction. If you're still not meeting face-to-face, or your testing centers aren't open face-to-face, there are options for them. And so you can see the differences between the tests right now. And I just want to make sure everyone has information, so your teachers are armed with information and can let your students know that they do have options, so they can take their tests and move forward in their lives. Any questions, just let me know.
Gracie, Denise Oran has her hand up. Denise, did you have a question, or was that from earlier?
I didn't have a question, and I put the comment in the chat. I was just going to say thank you for doing that, Tracy. And I think when we're looking at the best strategies, at least for us, I think initially we just wanted to make sure that we knew, how do you do it? But then after how do you do it, not just like, okay, how do I do a best test? We figure that out. But it's all the other stuff, or that's what it's been for us, is where we're like, okay, this person is the person that looks them up in Teams when they first come in. Who's going to do that when now we're not working as a team? You're kind of working one-on-one. So how are we going to make sure we don't forget other pieces? And that's what I think. That's the second part. Yes, we got the training.
Pieces.
Yes,
all of the pieces. And there are so many. You are right.
Yes. So thank you.
Good, Denise. I hope this will be helpful, because I know I've talked to a couple programs that are really haven't started remote testing, because it's such a big, it's like the elephant in the room. How do you start? What do you do? And even if you get started, you're right, it's those pre-pieces and post-pieces that can get lost in translation when everyone's spread around at their homes. So we hope it'll be helpful. Yes, Heather, that's a great idea. That's one thing we're going to recommend on the training Monday, Google Sheets to keep information. So, and other programs may choose something different, but that's a good one.
And Tiffany has a comment and question.
Did I miss?
Yeah.
Okay. Did I miss part of the remote testing? You have to look them up in Teams. We are starting our remote testing in the next couple of weeks. Okay, if you're talking about the remote testing webinars that we did for like Best Plus, CASAS, Table 11, 12, those are in the PD portal that people can look up and watch. Is that what you're asking?
Oh, no, Denise is.
Okay.
Denise is just saying that's
okay.
How they're confirming some stuff that they need to test.
Right.
It's just something that San Jacinto does.
It's a process.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to talk about on Monday. How do you really get into this process, and how can you make it work at your program with this from Austin and Community Action?
Nice. Any other questions or comments?
I think I'm done. I think I'm done. I am, I
Thank
know,
you.
unless there's a question. Thanks, y'all.
We'll give it a minute and thank you, Tracy,
You're welcome.
so much. You had some great information to share. And at this time, since I don't see any other questions other than Tiffany Lee says, gotcha, Denise. We're going to go ahead and move on to our next section where we hear from our Managing and Communication Director, Dr. Deborah Hargrove. Deborah?
Thank you, Olga. Hi, everyone. We've gotten a couple of email requests wondering when our staff and trainers might be able to come out to face-to-face training. And right now, I'm sorry to say that we are not permitted to travel. A&M is going through a structured phasing of coming back onto campus and allowing travel and so forth. And at this point, we are not permitted to travel. In fact, we are all still working from a home office. None of us are working at the office at this time. You know, we do have a lot of good trainers and a lot of good training that can happen virtually. And I know that some of your folks, you're already working and you've got some of your students back in class, I understand. And I can appreciate that. I hope you understand we're just not able to do that at this point, but we'd be more than happy to do some virtual training for you and get your teachers engaged. So please think about that and work with your PD specialist to schedule some virtual training. Now, I put on here that we might be able to reconsider for September. Again, I haven't heard anything yet from our dean. When we do hear from the dean, it's normally something that she says will happen in 30 to 60 days. So if anything, it would be, you know, the middle to end of August or September. So we will certainly keep you posted. That being said, Olga, if you'll go to the next slide, we do have some nice announcements to talk about. Some of the sessions that we had in our virtual Distance Learning and Tech Integration virtual conference, they are now in the portal, I'm happy to say. So if you want to get a feel for how Penny Pearson does in her workshops, or if you're not sure on what OERs are and you want to see something before you go to her extended version with the Tech and Tell that's coming up, you can now enroll in and watch the recording of Penny in the Open Educational Resources session that she did for us at the DLTI conference. We've got our tips and tricks for working remotely with EL students, closing the digital literacy gap with North Star, which I'm going to share with you a new course that they've just announced. Mario, who's doing that Tech and Tell for us, did one on creating portfolios. So if you missed that, that's now in the portal, as is Dr. Glenda Rose's Integrated EL Civics and the Microsoft Office Specialist Certification. So please share that with your teachers who are looking for some PD to start off their year. Those are some valuable and resourceful webinars. We do have our business meeting that's coming up for TWC. That was, going to be the Summer Institute, and that got moved to the fall. But now they're having a business meeting, and that will be virtual. So mark your calendars and share this information. The registration for each of these sessions separately are now in the portal. It will be July 29th through the 31st. And these will all be morning sessions. So the first part of the Institute will be finance. And you can see those topics here, the cash draw and expenditure reporting system. And then Wednesday from 10:30 to 11:30, cost principles, and so on. Again, these are individual sessions. TWC is hosting these on their Teams Microsoft Teams venue, so to speak. Instead of Zoom, it's Microsoft Teams. And we have those in the portal. Again, you can register for them there. It's virtual. As I mentioned on the next slide, we have a tentative date for the Fall Institute for September 14th through the 17th. It's in Austin at the Doubletree. At 35 and 290. So again, that is preliminary. We have to wait and see based on what's happening in our state with COVID. But again, just mark your calendars for the Fall Institute. And then North Star, who I mentioned earlier, they just announced that they have a new career search skills course. And I've given you the address there. I'll grab it and put it in the chat pod. Oh, crud. But I went through it a little bit yesterday, and it's pretty interesting. Let me just grab this and put it in here.
Deborah, I can grab it.
I got it. Thank you, though. So take a look at that when you get a chance. Tiffany Lee, will there still be a PD coordinator DL lead meeting at the Fall Institute? That's going to be at the.
We're going to address that a little bit later.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I just saw that somewhere. But anyway, yeah, we'll address it in just a second. We're planning those sessions. Thank you, Krista. If you have a chance, look at that North Star stuff. And then finally, one of the other things that I wanted to share, we are members, as some of you know, of the IDEAL Consortium. It's a consortium of states that focus on best practices in distance learning and distance education and mobile learning. And as part of our partnership this year, they are participating in a small group one-on-one coaching program that they're able to provide to states. So it's running from June to September. It's connected to their distance education strategy sessions that we talk about in our distance learning leads webinars and that we send out on listservs. So if you are struggling with some distance learning and you know that your distance learning lead could use some help in getting you guys going or helping you to increase your numbers, send an email to either Kathleen O'Connell or Susan Gear. I'll put their email addresses in the chat pod here in just a moment. And they can set up a one-on-one session with with your program to help you troubleshoot through some of those areas. I think it's a fantastic opportunity for all of you to get some free coaching from some nationally known distance learning experts. So please take advantage of that if you think it's something that would be beneficial to your programs. Thank you for putting those email addresses in the chat pod. That's it for me. Let me see if there are any questions related to any of the things that I mentioned. It doesn't look like it. There's a question, also address hiring trainers to implement face-to-face trainings. So if you on your own would like to hire trainers, you're certainly welcome to do that. That, of course, is going to be up to the personal trainer themselves. But for us, we're only being able to recommend virtual trainings until we're able to safely support someone coming out to your program. Let me see. I think that's it for me, Olga.
Very good. Thank you so much, Deborah. And if y'all have any questions, please don't hesitate to put them in the chat. We're going to go ahead and move on to Katie. Katie? Katie, you're muted.
Sorry, I must have double clicked it. We have updated the PD portal with the following annual courses. There's PII, Goal-Driven Learning, Goal-Driven Learning Attunement, and Understanding Principles of Adult Learning. If you plan to assign any of these courses to your staff, please notice the date next to the course title. They've been updated. The older course, I believe, was 2019-2020 versions. Those have been deactivated at this time. Okay. I'm very excited to announce that we have 13 courses published this month of July, which seems kind of crazy. We have a lot of material. So I have 2 slides. We have 2 DLTI webinars that Deb mentioned a few minutes ago. So all of the DLTI webinars, the 5 of them, are in the PD portal. We have 2 webinars that are focused on our CASAS remote testing, and we have 3 from the AEL Instructional Virtual Conference. The DLTI are closing the digital literacy gap with North Star, and also integrated EL Civics Microsoft Office Specialist. We have our 2 CASAS remote testing with multiple test takers, and also CASAS remote testing one-to-one webinar. Then our 3 AEL instructional virtual conferences include Holy Hippocampus, How Adults Learn, Effective AEL Reading and Writing Instruction, and Best Practices for Hybrid Distance Learning. The other courses that we have are just our regular webinar series. And again, you can see we have a lot of content that's out there. We have Manager Monday, Teams, MSG Management Report for Administrators, Teacher Tuesday, Measuring Student Outcomes Just Got Easier. This is part 2. We also have Teacher Tuesdays, Anson's Forecast for Remote Instruction. Workforce Wednesday, we have Targeted Plan, Preparing Students for the Job Search. Also Serving Corrections and Justice Involved Individuals under WIOA. Then we have our Tech and Tel course sites, Part 1. Part 2 will be out probably next month. That was a mouthful. That's a lot of information there. Next up, with the new program year, we have made a few updates to the certificates of completion, so don't be alarmed when you receive certificates that look just a little bit different than you're used to. The certificates now have Beth Ponder's signature instead of Deborah Hargrove's. Also, the sentence below the training title identifies if the course was online or live. And that's it for me.
Okay, so we did actually have a question. Oh, but I think Deborah answered it.
I did. Heather was just asking about a way to track the trainings that she assigns, and I told her that she could get with Katie that there's a report that they can print that will let them know what trainings that they've assigned, and then it'll give you a status as if it's completed by your staff member or if it's still in progress. And then Thelma loves that report, and so I kind of went out on a limb and told Heather to get with Thelma, because Thelma could give her a step-by-step instruction on how to get that report.
Thank you, Deborah. And so we're going to go ahead and move on. I saw a comment from Denise Orand. Are the Texas Peer Mentor Network hours updated? And Tracy said, Tracy didn't say, she's
updated. What are you talking about, Denise? In Teams or? I'm not sure what you're asking. You're muted.
Yeah, and my answer, this is Tracy, was for Heather.
right. I noticed that. That's why I just
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
But yeah, Denise, what?
I couldn't unmute. I guess, and I don't know, for me, I don't necessarily need all the hours, but I noticed that, and it was very late, that training came very late. And so like for me, I register everyone and I registered myself. And for me, it completely came off my transcript as if I had never registered or participated. And then some people had some pieces, and I could see the progress, I guess is what I'm saying, because it was like on the 12th and on the 19th. And so it looked like it was moving around. Like as I'd go in to see if they were completed, it was shifting. So I don't know who went back or how the information was tracked. I was just wondering if it was done.
So are you talking about?
In the PD portal, the certificates, the transcripts information.
Oh, okay. So if that's the face-to-face event that has to have a sign-in sheet that has to be documented and then gone in, that may take a couple of days or so.
Right. I'm talking about the Peer Network,
Denise,
that virtual conference that was June 12th and 19th.
Right.
Denise, you might get with the Amarillo College staff, because I believe that attendance has been updated already. But if there's somebody missing, you might get with the Amarillo staff, because they're the ones who turned in attendance because it was their event.
Okay, that's what I was
So,
wondering. I was just
yeah.
wondering, I didn't know how it worked because of the way, I know y'all did them the favor, but I got information
Yeah.
from them and from you, and so I wasn't really sure.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So get with them just to verify their attendance. And if
Okay,
maybe they left somebody off, they can send it to us and we can apply that.
okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, good question though. So we're going to go ahead and move on, and I think we're going to have Krista and then Tracy talk about teams.
Okay, hi. This is, I'm just going to talk about a little bit of things for when you are looking for sessions in Teams. Every once in a while, we have a PD coordinator or a data entry person that says they cannot find something in Teams to give their staff credit. So I worked with a group to kind of set this up and give you a screenshot of what to look for in Teams, and so that you can figure out which is the right event. All right, so first of all, the green arrow where I've connected to Holy Hippo. One tip is you are able to use keywords for the search. You do not have to type full title. So Holy Hippo will give you what the two things that we have, two activities that are in Teams with that Holy Hippo Campus name. The live event, the one that happens where everybody registers and you're going on and it is live, so you will see one single date. So if you look where it says TCAL, Holy Hippo Campus, How Adults Learn 1.25, 5/29 is the begin date and the end date is 5/29. So that is the live event, and that was 1.25 hours. The online courses will have PD Portal written before the title. So when you see, so I've got that circled in red, PD Portal, that is the course that if somebody goes into the portal and watches it as an online curriculum. Also, if you look at the dates, it shows June 22nd, 2020 to June 30th, 2020. That is a date range. So that was when it got put in the portal and then the end of the program year. And if you notice, that is only 0.75 hours. The reason for that is because of post-production. When you see something live, it's going to be longer. The post-production has been edited, and it takes out a lot of the beginning parts, the things that you don't need to have for the curriculum. So, is there any questions
Krista,
that I can help you with this? Yes.
Well, Marie, I don't know if it's a comment, but she says some of these training sessions have 10 listed. It is really hard to decide which to enter information under.
Correct. So please make sure that you are looking under the training provider TCAL. All right. If you see something that's that's not TCAL, and you know it was a Train PD TCAL session, that's the one you want to use. Please do not add your own event unless it is a local training only. All right, so TCAL puts all events into the Teams except for your local training. And that's what happens, Marie, sometimes is that we get 10 listed because somebody comes in, they don't see it right away, so they add their own. All right, so PD Portal are the online. No PD Portal is the actual live event. And the certificate should help you now because the certificate will show whether it was the live session or an online session. So the data entry person and or PD coordinator will need to look at the certificate. All right. Any questions, or is there anything else that I can say that might make this a little bit clearer for you?
Krista,
Krista,
if I could add one or two things on this, we do have, if it's something in the portal, let's say it's a Tech and Tell, just like Krista shows right here, it'll have it'll have the date of the Tech and Tell. When it gets to the recording and it's in the portal for the next year, we change the date to the whole year.
Correct.
So
Yes.
if you see something and you look at the dates and it says beginning June 1 of 2020 to, or it'll say June 1, 2020 to May 31st, 2021, and it says PD portal, that's the one that counts. Even if you see 30 people in a different one, that's the one that counts. And if you see it in the, look at the date of the session, and then if you need to go back and check our calendar, do that just to confirm. It's frustrating. We can't get teams to limit who can put in TCall. So right now anybody can use TCall as a drop down, and we're trying to get them to limit it, but they're not, and they're not able to do that yet. So it's pretty frustrating. So please, share this with your Teams entry people.
Yes. And if you get confused or you're not sure, please contact your PD specialist. That's what we are here for, to help you out. But hopefully using some of this will help, some of these little tips will help you find the right one. So any other questions? I'm seeing how, we know it is confusing, and we're going to go over this slide again next month so that we can, so if you have any questions or any problems, you can ask them as well.
thank you, Krista. And Tiffany Lee says, it's just a comment about her program. The PD coordinator puts in the hours in the team. So she's a PD coordinator and the data person. Thank you, Tiffany Lee. So do share. If you have someone else that enters this, please do share. But we're going to go ahead and go on to Tracy. You're next.
So you can read this slide, but so we were just talking about online courses, and anything live last year that was recorded and is housed in the PD portal is considered online. And we will enter all of the PD portal's courses once the new year for Teams opens up. So we had a lot of content last year, and anything from years prior, it will all say PD portal, semicolon, and then with the title. So we will enter those as soon as Teams opens up, and we'll let you know when they're ready. That's all I have to say. Any questions about that?
Okay, any questions before we move into the PD coordinator time? We have about 5 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and move forward so Krista can have a little bit. Krista, go right ahead.
Okay, so like Tiffany was asking about the PD coordinator session and the DL leads, we are still planning on having those individual sessions at the Fall Institute in September. After last month's PD coordinators webinar, I got an email of something that somebody would like to see or have presented at our PD coordinator session. So please email me and let me know if there is something that you would like us to cover during that half-day session at the Fall Institute. We're keeping our fingers crossed that we can make this happen. And since we have a couple of minutes, 3 minutes, so is there any other questions that you might have for the PD coordinator position, like that team stuff or anything else? Is there anything that we can help you with right now? And if not, just email me and we'll get it in for next month.
Thank you, Krista. And thank you, everyone who
Okay.
attended and those who presented.
Olga,
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
Sharon.
there's a question. There's Sharon Dunn's asking, our 2021 PD plan is due on the 31st. Will we receive a template from you guys to help complete it?
Okay, Deb, I have emailed Lori for some confirmation on this because normally I'm thinking that's the one that we normally have due in October. So I'm not sure what the July one is. As soon as I get confirmation from Lori Slayton, I will get it to your PD specialist and we will get it out to all of you because we're needing to figure out what the what exactly that PD plan that they mentioned that is due on July 31st.
Yeah, that might have been an error from an old one. Because, yeah, didn't you just do the,
We just did the PD follow-up plan. Yeah, so that's
okay, I'll
obviously we don't know anything about it, so I'm really hoping that it's that there's some miscommunication here.
Okay, we'll double check it. Yeah, Maro's saying it was in the reminders, and I bet you they just copied and pasted and wasn't able to take a final look. They're really, as you can imagine, they're extremely busy over there now.
Right. And Kelsey Woodward just said, I was told it was incorrect on the agenda. At least that is where I saw it. Not sure if it was anywhere else.
Yeah.
So I will, like I said, I promise as soon as I get the clarification from Lori Slayton, we will get it out to all of you. I'll do it on the PD coordinator listserv just for instant information. So please don't panic because if it is something due, we're panicking as well. So
I'll get with Lori and find out that answer for you guys.
Okay, thank you, Deb.
And it looks like we're out of time. I don't see any other questions or comments. I just want to thank you guys for joining us. Olga, I'll let you say some last words.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us. And our next meeting is August 13th. See you then at 2 o'clock. Mark your calendars. And just know that we are here. You can always email us. Our emails are in the chat. Our emails are on the website. So email us if you have any questions or if we can help in any way. We will be glad to do so. So thank you all. Stay safe.
Take care, everyone.
Okay, ma'am.
So did we have anyone that we were waiting to rename them?
Not that I know of.
Okay, great. Then I'm going to go ahead and end it.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Olga. Great job.
Thank
Great
you,
job,
you too.
everybody. Bye-bye.